As a professional speaker, one of the most frequently asked questions is how to handle aggressive behavior. Let's have ourselves a pocket sized pep talk because this is tricky, but there are a bunch of solutions.
A Pocket Sized Pep Talk, the podcast that can help energize your business and your life with a quick, inspiring message. Now, here's your host, Rob Jollis.
A recent podcast of mine centered on a ridiculous move by another professional speaker who seemed fixated on a message I commonly deliver. In his tirade, he referred to me as a scab picker, and I used that attack as a leaping off point for a critical presentation. But a number of emails arrived on my computer with questions such as, why didn't you take this person on? Why didn't you put this person back in his place? It made me realize that this situation is not uncommon for others and can make people extremely anxious. So it needs to be addressed, and carefully. Now, at the risk of sounding arrogant, I could carve up anyone who wants to play in front of a crowd with me. This has nothing to do with how talented I may or may not be. Clip a microphone around your neck for 4 decades. You'll be pretty good at holding your own in front of a crowd too. However, that doesn't mean we demonstrate our competence by destroying those who take us on. Go watch a comedian and you'll know just what I mean. That genre suggests that anything goes. Want to shout something out or heckle a comedian? Depends on the particular comedian, but like it or not, it's part of the price of admission. If you do feel like heckling a comedian, no one is going to feel sorry for you if that comedian twists you into knots for doing it. It's all part of the show. However, public speaking is not stand-up comedy. The first move a professional speaker will make when inappropriate comments are thrown their way will no doubt surprise you. It is to do absolutely nothing. Believe it or not, sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes they say things they don't really mean, or their words just come out the wrong way. They don't mean to confront, and therefore the first rule of thumb is the first one's free. Let me tell you why a confrontation is not the right tactic when you're dealing with inappropriate comments. Whether it's another speaker or an audience member, when someone says something that's insensitive, the entire audience knows it. As a matter of fact, the entire audience is often appalled by it. People know it takes courage to speak in front of an audience. Even if they don't agree with everything you might have to say, they don't appreciate someone embarrassing the speaker with inappropriate comments. The audience knows that the person who makes that kind of comment is a knucklehead. There's no need to confuse them. If you respond with an attack of your own, it may feed your ego, but it has the potential to turn an audience against you. Putting on a presentation and having someone take shots at you can throw even the most grizzled speakers. And often adhering to the rule, the first one's free, will allow you to maintain your dignity and rise above it. People can make awkward and uncomfortable comments with no intent to disrupt your presentation. But sometimes there is intent. And sometimes these snipers can keep coming. And if they do, I got another move up my sleeve. It's time to let the audience help out a bit. First, let's drop back and ask ourselves, why would someone deliberately try and sabotage a presentation? Sometimes it can be because they fear change. Sometimes it can be because they're angry. It's not them giving the presentation. Sometimes it can be because they're looking out for another vendor's best interest. Sometimes it can be because they don't see a need to be there or are angry with their boss. Sometimes it can be because you look like their ex-husband or wife. Suffice to say, there are a lot of reasons someone can deliberately try and sabotage your presentation. You took the first shot. Now, what are you going to do about it? My suggestion is do what the pros do. Let the audience help you. I've given you a handful of reasons why a person might want to disrupt a presentation, but let me remind you of something else. Usually, the person who's doing the disrupting is well known by others in the audience, and the audience doesn't like their behavior one bit. They grow frustrated with speakers who try and placate these snipers, as we call them in the business, and want to speak too. Let them. A typical exchange might sound something like this: Sniper: I'm not trying to stir things up, but I think I speak for many when I say we've seen all this before. No offense, but isn't this just another example of a product that just won't fit into the way we do things here? Speaker: so if I understand your question, you're looking for clarification regarding the relevancy of this product. Fair enough. There are a lot of products that compete in this shelf space. How do the rest of you feel about this? Is there value in exploring other ways to address your client's needs? Professional speakers call this a relay. And once you relay this question back to the audience, all you need to do is stand back and let the audience respond. In fact, you will see that people are itching to answer that question for you. Remember, when a sniper rears its ugly head, not only embarrasses the speaker, it embarrasses the rest of the audience too. I'd suggest you field one or two responses from the audience, soften their response if you need to, summarize, and move on. You're not there to fire back at the sniper, win an argument, or get even. Your job is to put on a phenomenal presentation and manage the room while doing it. With the audience's help and your careful facilitation of their responses, often the problem goes away. However, sometimes these snipers can keep coming. And if they do, I've got another move up my sleeve. You tried to let the first one be free and tried to relay their comments, but your sniper keeps on coming. You can either watch your presentation crash and burn, or you can do something a little more dramatic. I'm picking dramatic. Flushing out a sniper is a risky move, but you're almost out of options here. You know you're being attacked, and the audience knows you're being attacked. It's time to expose the sniper. And in order to do that, you have to ask the right question. It might go something like this: Sniper: again, I have to say, this is not something that will work here. No offense, but it's a waste of time and money, and we've heard all this before. Speaker: fair enough. I can certainly hear in your voice that you have some frustrations. However, I have to let you know the way you're communicating right now is coming out rather aggressively. Are you intending it that way? No one will ever say, yes, I'm intending to be aggressive. What you will hear is, no, but I just don't believe that. Usually by the time they're done, so is the issue. Sniper can't continue with the lethal jabs because he or she knows you're on to them. And so does the audience. Don't be surprised to see this unprofessional person pout like a child because their little game is over. But quite frankly, I wouldn't give it a second thought. You have a job to do, and partaking in a debate that will continue to create negativism, well, you're robbing yourself of precious time, you're frustrating the audience, and it's not part of your job. This simple tactic will work with the majority of people, but every now and then you will have a sniper who's bound and determined to take on a speaker. I have one final move you can make, and it's 100% within your control. You need to reach down and find the confidence of a king. By now, I think everyone knows that the biggest fear people have is speaking in front of an audience. But do you know why it's the biggest fear? This fear isn't based on what will happen if things go right. It's based on what will happen if things go wrong. Guess what the biggest fear of is when it comes to things going wrong? Someone heckling, or to put it in presentation terms, someone sniping your presentation. Think about this scenario for just a moment. You're about to give an important presentation. There's a lot riding on this presentation, and you've worked hard to get ready for it. Maybe your manager is in the room, or perhaps a couple of important clients are there. Can you feel the butterflies? Take a deep breath because you're about to enter that room. Now, what if right before you walk through that door, I stopped you and whispered into your ear, I've spoken to every single person in the room. They can't wait to hear your message and are genuinely excited you're here. I can personally guarantee that this will be the most cooperative, eager, supportive group you will ever speak in front of. How are those butterflies now? Of course, I can't deliver that message to you before you walk through that door. What I can do is take you step by step through the most effective moves you can make if someone does have an issue with your presentation. That's why this pocket sized pep talk went a little longer than usual, because there's a sequence and a series of moves you can make. You can let the first one be free because not every inappropriate action is intentional. You can involve the audience utilizing a relay technique, using their words to professionally reply to inappropriate actions. You can flush out a sniper by making everyone aware of his or her inappropriate actions. But there is the one final move, and although it must be kept in reserve and only used in dire situations, it must be counted as an option. You can stop the program, clear the room, let every person in the room hear you ask for this person to remain behind, and calmly, once the room is cleared, ask them to leave. I know what you're thinking. That's it? That gives you the confidence of a king? No. What gives me the confidence of a king is the proactive, often political preparation, knowing you have the power to make this particular move. And therein lies the secret. Why do you think you rarely see this done? Why do you think you have seen careers threatened, sales lost, and confidence shattered over sniping scenarios without people being removed? The answer: no one ever asks this question and prepares this option before they take on an assignment like this. As a younger trainer and speaker, I would never in a million years throw someone out of my training without permission beforehand. That's why I almost always met with my client and had this conversation before I stepped in front of an audience. Conversation sounds like this. I'm about to conduct a program and I'm excited about it. I would like to know the policy of this company in the event there is a problem in the training. I'm referring to the remote possibility of having someone intentionally sabotage the presentation and put the message you're asking me to deliver at risk. Needless to say, I'll do all in my power to professionally address this situation. But if all else fails, what is the policy? Most companies will tell you to please remove that person from the room. Occasionally, they'll tell you to do your best that you can and complete the presentation. The key is don't guess, find out. Incidentally, in close to 40 years of presenting to thousands of audiences, I've removed exactly one participant. So there you have it. With a game plan and a sequence of moves to remove the single biggest element of concern for any presenter, you should feel better prepared. Just remember, the next time someone asks you to step in front of a room and deliver a message, get up there and get it done with the confidence of a king.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate and recommend it on iTunes, Outcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information on this show and Rob at jollis.com.